we'll go to our thaw space folder and we're going to open up our lesson 4 file. Okay. Now, I'm just going to click on the no name that's still there, and I'm just going to hit the delete key on my keyboard just to get that out of there. Tell it okay. I don't need that blank file sitting there. Will it hurt anything? No. But usually when I do that and I don't say I'm doing it, somebody's like, hey, do I need to do that too? It doesn't hurt anything. I've got OCD a little bit, so I got to clean stuff up all the time. All right. Everybody get their lesson 4 part? We're good there? Okay. Now, let's go to the input screen and let's bring in our NC state that's saved with that file. So let's go over here to import export functions. Go to import NC state from file.
You lost me.
Go to the input screen. Import export functions.
Okay.
Import NC state from file. That's how I like it. Right away. Okay. That file should be in that same folder, your lesson 4 folder. When we saved the lesson 4 file, it saved the NC state for this part. If you click on that and you hit import, it's going to give you a whole bunch of stuff that it's going to bring in, and yeah, I want it all. Okay, we're going to bring it all. So we're going to hit begin operation. It's going to tell you it was successfully imported. And now, if you go to your tool setup, your tools should be there because they were part of that NC state. Okay. In your part setup, if you go to it, it should have brought all those work offsets back in, that -15 for us. Yeah.
You've lost me. I got my thing put up, but
Okay. See your thing? Okay, so you've saved out 2 files. For some reason, you changed the file name and didn't ever save as on it. So we're going to load our file. Try not to open that. Okay. We're going to do an import. Import NC state. And it should be there too, but since you got 2 files, it did it again. Begin operation. Just stick the file name and then get rid of it. Okay. All right. So the part setup, the work offsets should all be there. Is everybody good there? Yeah.
you lost me when we got the NC state file.
Okay. The NC state. Everybody, input, import, export functions. Got it? Import NC state. And then you should have an NC state file in that for this part.
From or to?
Huh?
Import NC state file to.
Import. Import NC state file. Not export. Import. You don't want to export. If you export and you save over your file, you just lost everything that you saved with it. Okay? Don't export. Don't export. We're never exporting the NC state in here. It's automatically saving the NC state every time we make changes with the file itself. Okay? We're going to import that in. Once you get it in, it should have the work offsets and everything in there. Is everybody good? Yeah. Okay. It also brought in the part setup. Okay, so right now with this loaded, we should be able to go over to our draw screen and hit play. Go to our isometric view so we kind of see it a little easier. And we should see our part drawn still. Okay, I'm going to encourage you I'm gonna encourage everybody in here. Once we got a part drawing, take some time to navigate around and play with these buttons. Okay, take some time to spin stuff around, learn what the rotate does, how you can spin things around, figure out how you can get it back to where you want it to be. Okay, learn how you can do different things. Your spin center can get off a little bit, but you can switch back to your zoom, and I can zoom back in on that part. Take some time to figure those out. All right, there's different views over here from different planes. Okay. All right. Did everybody's draw correctly? Yeah.
I've only got one hole in mine.
You've only got one hole?
Yes.
Copy off your brother underneath the G98 line. You need to put those two lines in there. What's wrong here? What? That's just those are just. So that's what I'm saying. You're gonna have to learn your way around this draw screen, this graphics window. Like his isn't displaying the rapids. Well, that's in the settings, and you can turn that stuff on and off. You can turn that stuff on and off. Okay? Here's what you need. You need these two lines of code right here. All right. CPM. What's that mean? You're going to hear me say it a lot. Copy, paste, modify. Copy, paste, modify. It's real simple. We're going to copy and paste and modify a lot. Okay, you got them? Okay. All right. It's imperative that you're saving your files and making sure you have them saved before you close out of here. Okay? Don't leave here unless you're 100% sure you have saved the newest version of your file on your computer. Got it, Ross? Make sure you got it saved. Okay? All right. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to come down here at the bottom of the program. We're going to throw a comment in here. We're going to say, we're going to drill, and I'm going to do it all in caps. I'd like you to do that. Turn on cap locks. Get out of here. We're in class. Why'd you leave it in here?
Because I was affecting my gene info quiz, but I never found it.
Get your backpack. You can do it on Monday, Tuesday, whatever. Drill through holes. Okay. Drill through holes. All right. We need to get the spindle up away from the part to do a tool change. Okay, so let's go back up here. I guess I forgot that right here. Up here we did a Z1. Oh, we did not put one in there. Oh man, we forgot something the other day. We never turned the coolant on. Okay, we need to turn the coolant on up here. No big deal. We're just going to stick it in right here where we go to the initial height. I want you to put an M8. That's coolant on. Flood coolant on. M8, initial height, flood coolant on. That's what an M8 miscellaneous code is. Remember, you can't have two miscellaneous codes in the same line. So I can't turn the spindle on and turn the coolant on in the same line of code. And the reason I turned it on there is because we obviously want it on to drill our holes. But then also, right here, we're going to do a G28, G91, Z0, M9. Okay? Right down here. And I'm going to talk about what that is. So, there's two coordinate home positions on the machines. There is machine position where you can do a G53, which is machine coordinates, meaning that when that machine homes out, its 0, 0 is all the way in the back right corner. That's where it hits its hard stops. That's its home. That's 0, 0 for the machine. So you can do a G53 with an X or a Y value or a Z value to tell everything to move based on the machine's home position. So like at the end of the program, you'll have that a lot sometimes. People will have post built especially for like their machine and tell it where do you want that to go at the end. I prefer to use a G28. G28 is return to through a reference point. So it's returning to a reference point incrementally, G91 to Z0. And all that means is no matter where I'm at in Z, no matter where my tool is in Z, if this is my tool change height, when I do a G28 incremental move, it's going to go whatever that distance is back to this position. This is the reference position. In this control, we set that in our NC parameters. We set those values right here. Okay, you don't need to know where those are at. I don't want you messing with them. Okay, but those were set there. That G28 is calling to this value right here for X, for Y, and for Z. The Z is typically always 0 because the Z home position is typically calibrated in the machine as the tool change height. Okay, that's wherever that tool changer arm's hitting and making the tool change, that's what the Z reference. So that's usually 0 here. The X and the Y, though, on those machines out there are all a little bit different based on the machine size because we set that based on what is the Y travel all the way to the front and what's the X travel to the center of the door. And that's how the X and Y reference points are set up on those machines. On the VM30 over there, which is the bigger machine, it's got a lot more travel. You know, the table's this wide. So all the way over here is my rotary. I could have 3 vices over here. Okay, don't trip over my chair here. I could have 3 vices over here. Well, maybe I'm working in vice 1 and 2, but when it comes to center, they're still kind of offset to the left of the door. Well, I can go change this reference point and not have to change anything in my program, and at the end of the program, it'll bring that to the center. Or maybe I'm using the rotary, I've got something in it, and I want that to come to the middle of the door. I can change the X and move it further to the left at the end of the program without having to change anything in the code itself. These I can go in and I can change those at any time while I'm running that machine. Okay, so G28 is return through reference point incrementally to Z0, which is going to be the tool change height, and then M9 cooling off. Okay. All right. I want to put tool 7 in the spindle, so what do I need to start this line with? T7 M6. T7, tool 7, M6. And then I'm going to do the same thing I did above. I'm going to put an M1. And I'm going to kind of groove up here to my tool 7 comment. I'm going to highlight it, hit Control C to copy. I'm going to paste that right after the M1 there. So the first time through, I have optional stop on. It stops right there. And I can look in the spindle, and I can read my screen, and I say, okay, this should be a 1/4 inch drill. I look, there's a 1/2 inch face mill in my spindle. What do?
Change it.
You change it. You fix it. I've made a mistake. The machine's not going to grab the wrong tool. It'll just grab whatever tool I put in the position that was supposed to be in. Okay.
Copy, paste, what?
Control C. Copy, Control C. And paste is Control V. Control C, Control V. Okay. All right. This is where we start grooving here because we're going to copy, paste, modify a lot. Okay. So the only thing I got to tell you is be careful and don't get lazy and not go through the code. Read it. You know, when you make a copy and a paste, make sure to see what you got to modify. Here's what I want you to do next with me. Has everybody got that part? Okay. come back up here to the top. I want you to put your cursor right here in front of the G90 for hole 1. And then I want you to hold shift and I want you to click after the line that we put the M8 in. So there, that put your cursor where you want to start your selection. You hold down the shift key and you click after where you want to go to. Uh-oh. I think my computer just locked up. So every now and then, this is a good moment. Every now and then WinMax will do this where it'll kind of lock. Don't freak out and shut the computer off. Just click off the window. And typically, after you click off the window or you go to a couple others, it'll wake back up. Uh-oh, mine might have really locked up. It might have been a real lockup. So, what do we need to change?
Numbers for RPMs.
Numbers for RPMs. What else though? Let's go in order. What's the first thing we need to change? The H. H6 needs to be H7. Okay? Do it in order. Right now you don't know that, but do it in order. Go line by line. As we modify, we need to go in line and look at each line and make sure we don't need to change something. So then we need to change the RPM next. So the next thing we'll do is we'll change this RPM for this tool, which is 3820. And I might even change it in the comment here. Yep. What's that? Not yet. Once we bring the drill line in, we'll have to change feet. Okay? So those are the two things. So you can see I didn't have to remember to type all that stuff again. And I don't want you to have to remember it. I do want you to know what it all is. That's why we're taking these G&M code quizzes all the time. You need to be able to identify every code that's up there. Okay, you need to be able to identify these codes. And just know where they go. The G43 tool length compensation with the H value, that's going to tell it to look on tool 7's tool length register. So it's going to come here, it's going to look at tool 7, it's going to say tool 7's 5 inches. It knows how much is sticking out of the spindle. They will not always be 5 inches. They're going to be whatever length that tool is. Okay? All right. Next, we'll jump back up to the top. Boop, boop, boop. And what I'd like you to do is put your cursor in front of the G98, hold shift again, and take everything down to the Z2. So put your cursor right here, hold down the shift key, click after the G0 Z2 line, then hit Control C to copy, go down to the bottom, paste that down here.
I found it copied without putting shit.
What's that?
I found it still copied if you didn't.
You can just highlight it all. It's just for me, it's easier to just put the cursor, hold shift, and click after when I'm trying to get a big group. It's hard for me to make sure I don't get something messed up by my mouse movement. Okay. Did everybody get that copied okay? Groovy. We're going to do a normal drill can cycle. What's that code, Spencer? Normal drill can cycle. What? G81. G81 standard drill cycle. Okay? Let me get my screen to where you can actually see the bottom of it here. Somehow it got down there below. There we go. So G81. Did we not put a p-value in our... We did not. Back up at the top in the G82 spot drill line. I can't believe I forgot that. That's what makes it the G82. The G82 is a spot space counterbore cycle, meaning that it gets the depth and it dwells. But if we don't tell it how long to dwell, it's not going to do anything different than the G81. Or actually, I say that if there's been any p-values, because there are different cycles that use p-values for different callouts. So if I had a P30 in another cycle, it's going to, by default, it's going to modal that in and use 30 seconds as the dwell time. So I need to make sure I put a P1 right here for a 1 second dwell. Man, I can't believe I missed that the other day. Okay. All right. Then back down to here. I want you to open up your little books to page 34 again. Or 24, sorry. 24. So I know I could use my calculator, but I don't want to open my calculator up because this is way too simple. I want to drill through the part with this 1/4 inch drill. I want 50,000 straight wall breakthrough. Okay, so that means if the part's a 1/4 inch thick, and I'm going to do 50,000 straight wall breakthrough, that's at least 300 plus the length of the tip of the tool, right? The drill tip. So to calculate the drill tip, if you look at this, it's a 118-degree drill, and if I know the drill's a 1/4 inch, basically I can use that same formula right there for the chamfer depth formula to calculate the drill tip. So what's the 118-degree constant times the diameter? 0.3. So 0.3 times the drill diameter, that's the tip length of a 118-degree drill. That's the length of the drill. If I didn't go over to the pedal grinder and regrind it and get it off, if it's factory, it should be right at 75 thousandths. Okay, so I'm going to go that plus the 300. So I'm going to go 375 deep to make sure that I break through the part plus that 50 thousandths of straight wall breakthrough, and that's what I'm going to put right here for my Z depth, minus 0.375. Next thing we need to change in that line, feed rate. We're going to tell it this tool, if we look at our comment up there, is 15 inches a minute. And then if we hit play over here, you should see it has drilled the holes now. No, we're not doing a dwell. So just hit play and it should refresh and it should drill the holes. Everybody's drilled? Okay. What I would like you to do right now, for about the next, I'm going to give you, it's 1:09, I'm going to give you 11 minutes. If you get done, be quiet. Don't horse it around. Let everybody else get it done. I would like you to take lesson 5 in your books. Put up to lesson 5. And it should be real easy. I'm giving you more time than you probably really need. But I want you to go to lesson 5, part number 2. and I want you to plot the points for those holes. Okay? Don't work ahead. Don't try to write any program. Don't mess with anything yet. We're going to do it together. Just plot the points. That's all I want you doing. Okay? Go ahead and plot these points out. Holes 1 through 9. Origin's in the center. So X0, Y0 is in the center. So make sure you do them accordingly.
Should we make it less than a little bit more?
All right, let's go ahead and first off, let's go back to our program here. We got to finish this up. We're not done yet. We got a couple lines of code here. Okay, so we are. You guys ready? Everybody seems like they're looking at other stuff. Right now, we're 2 inches above the part, but we're just sitting there. Spindle's still on, coolant's still on. Yeah, the part's machine, but it's sitting there with the tool 2 inches above it just running. And it'll keep running until the power goes out or the machine wears out. Okay, 1 and 2. We've got to tell it to shut itself off. It doesn't know. It thinks we just want it to sit there and spin forever. So, we're going to do that G28 line again. G28, G91. What in the world? Z0, M9. Let's shut the coolant off. Then we're going to do a G28, G91, X0, Y0. And I typically, and I think this is this way on your header sheet, I usually shut the coolant off right here with the retract move to the clearance height. And that way right here, I can do an M5. Okay. M9 shuts the coolant off. M5 shuts off the spindle. M5 shuts off the spindle. Spindle off is M5. Okay. I know I'm not formally telling you. They're coming into programs. But everything we're seeing in programs, you're going to start seeing on quizzes. Okay, if we're using them, they are eligible for quiz participation. Okay. So, as we're doing these, at the end of the day, if you got to go through the program and look at new codes that we haven't highlighted or whatever yet, make a mark of them, okay? All right. So we return to the home position that's there. We want to do the end of program. We're just going to do a program end reset, which is M30. All right. I want you to go hit save in the program manager. Boom. Lesson 4, part 1, everything's there. It's saved. NC state and all. Okay, as soon as you hit save here, it resaves the NC state. It resaves the part and everything we've done to it today. It doesn't have a little exclamation point here anymore. We got a good file. All right. Tell me, if you look at that lesson 5, part 2, that I had you plot the points, operation-wise, what's different between it and this one?
Just a few more points.
A few more points and the locations, right? That's it. We're going to spot drill and drill that one just the same. Okay, this is how we do that. This is how we do it, and we're efficient with it. I don't open up a new file and start with a blank slate. I'm going to use the file we've already done, but here's how we need to make sure we do this. Okay, what we need to do first. Here, Ross, whatever you're coloring on, let's focus on what's going on. Okay, we don't need to be coloring our book. We're going to click the file. We're going to go to Save As. Save As, not Save. Save As. I want you to pick your folder here. Okay, you're going to pick your folder. You're going to hit Create Directory. So pick your file space folder, hit Create Directory. What? Program Manager?
No,
You don't have the code?
back. Further than that.
Program Manager?
I have the same thing.
Okay. Go to your Program Manager and hit save. Program Manager, hit save. Okay. Then, with it selected, do a save as. Now make sure I don't want to put this folder inside of my lesson 4 folder. So don't have your lesson 4 folder highlighted. Make sure you highlight your main ThawSpace folder. Okay? And then do a create directory. And this is going to be lesson 5 CNC mill. Everything you do in lesson 5, so this one we're going to do together and the other two I'm going to have you do on your own, are going to go into this folder. Does that make sense? One folder per lesson. Everything that we do on those lessons goes in that folder. Okay? Alright. So click OK, and then select that new folder we just created. Lesson 5, CNC Mill. Have it selected. And then down here, we're going to change the file name to Lesson 5, Part 2. So down here, you're just changing the lesson to 5, the part to 2.fnc, and hit save. The next thing that happens is it goes back to here, the file name's saved, and everybody goes, wait, what? Now I just lost my lesson 4. No, you didn't. It's still there. All you did was you created a copy of lesson 4. All we did was create a copy of the lesson 4 file, because most of what we need to do is in the lesson 4 file. Everybody agree with that? Okay. Let's double click into this and let's see what we need to change. We're going to start, and that's what I was talking about earlier. We always start at the top and work our way down. We don't just start kind of picking and don't just kind of hodgepodge where you make your changes. Start at the top, work from the top to the bottom. Okay? Jack, what's the first thing I'm going to change? Huh? Program number. You got a question, or are we going to answer? Program number. It's lesson 5, part 2, so this is going to be 502. And then we'll change it in the comment. Lesson 5, part 2. We're still doing can cycles, so no reason to change that. Anybody want to change the safety line? I don't either. That's the safety line for a reason. So it's good. G17, we're working in the XY plane. G20, we're doing inch coordinates. Cancel cutter comp, cancel tool lengths, cancel any can cycles that may be active from the last program, which was lesson 4, part 1. We're good there. How about our setup info? Where's the origin at on this part? Still in the center. Z still at the top of the part. We're good there. How about the tool information? What tools are we going to use for this part? Same ones, right? We're still spot drilling and drilling the same size holes. So we don't need to change anything there. We're going to use tool 6. It's going to come to the spindle. All good. I don't have to really change anything else until I get down to the G90 line. So I'm going to go around the room. So be ready. And I'm going to have you give me the lines, and trust me, you'll be okay as long as you plotted these points out. So Reagan, we need to go to hole 1 here. What's my X and Y value for hole 1?
0, 0.
0, 0. So 0 point, 0 point. Okay. We're at hole 1. That's where we're going to do our first spot drill, and then we're going to work our way around just like they're numbered on your sheet. Okay. Now, we don't have to change anything here, do we? Tool length comp, H6, that's the tool we're using, H&T agreement. Coming down to 2 inches above, we can check our tool length, looks good. Spindle turns on, clockwise, 1910 RPM. We come down to our initial height, which is 1 inch above, and turn on our coolant. Brilliant, I love it. The G98, initial height, that just means that between each hole, it's gonna go back to 1 inch above. That's all that means. If we turn that to a G99, in between each hole, it's going to go to 100 thou above the R plane. Okay? That's the only difference between G98 and G99. It's how high it retracts between holes. We're good there. That line's fine. Ross, this line right here, though, I need to go to hole 2. What's your hole 2 coordinate?
0, 1.
0, 1. Okay. Yes, you're right. But I do have a but. In programming, you only have to put whatever changes. So since we're already at x0, all we have to do is put the new absolute y value. So here we could just put y 1 point, and that will move straight up to the new y, but still stay at x0. So we don't have to put both of them. I typically do not. You can do whatever works best for you. Here's the thing for me. I am very good at fat fingering buttons and messing something up, so less is more with me. If I give myself half as many chances to type something in wrong, I feel like I'm going to have a 50% better success rate. Some people look at it and they go, I just want to put both values because it makes, that way I don't have to figure out which one's which. That's fine. The software knows no different. But when I program, you're only going to see whatever's changing. Okay? All right, Jack. How about the hole 3? What's going on there?
It's a negative 1, 1.
X negative 1. We're already at Y1, so I don't need the Y1. So I'm just going to put the X negative 1. Okay. All right, now we're ready to move on down. What's our next move? Mueller.
Negative 1, 0.
Okay. We're still at X negative 1. We're coming down to Y 0. Huh?
Oh, just below.
Yeah, we just got to make some space because we're adding more points now. So we just got to make a little space there.
X negative 1, 1.
Okay. So here, hole 4, we're just going down 1 inch further in Y. So Y minus 1. Or hole 5, sorry. Okay. Isaac, how about that next one?
0, negative 1.
0, negative 1, X 0. We're moving straight over an X. Hole 6. Spencer.
X1.
Then we're moving over 1 inch to X1. Hole 7. Is it making sense to everybody why I only have to put the one value? Because either the X or the Y is not changing, so I only have to put the one or the other. You can put both. And I'll say it again, you can put both of them every time. The machine doesn't care. It's just not, you don't have to. Okay. Like I think I shared the other day, that machine reads the entire line all at once. So like even this line right here, that line could go to the machine like this right here. It could be completely inverted backwards of what it is. So the feed rate could be at the beginning, the G98 could be at the end, the G82 could be in the middle. It doesn't care. It's going to read it all at once. But I will tell you this. Mr. Venner does care. When we're grading and I'm looking at stuff and I'm helping you with stuff, I want you following the same format that we're doing in here together. Okay, I just want you to follow the format. This format, there's a reason. It's not just because I have a personal preference. Most CAM system posts are going to post things in this order. So whenever you get to where you're using a CAM system to program and you post something out, you still have to look at it's still G-code. So that way when you're looking at a CAM system post, you're still looking at it in a manner that you're kind of familiar with. Okay, it's still G and M codes. Mastercam, all Mastercam does is take what we do in the graphics on the computer, and it basically filters it and turns it into G code. That's all it does. Okay. All right. Prosser, how about that next one?
Y0.
Y0. What?
Something's going on with my computer. Every time I type something, the load for it goes away.
Hit the. I bet you hit the insert button. You got an override on that. Hit insert over there. There you go. Now see what happens. There you go. Yeah, be careful. If you hit the insert key, which is right above the delete key, and you're not familiar with insert and overwrite, which is like a old Microsoft Word thing, but if you hit that and it switches the overwrite mode, then when you start typing, it starts just overwriting everything. We don't want that. Okay, so make sure you're in insert mode. All right, Falkson, give me the last point there, since I can't number correctly. Y1 inch. Okay, that's hole 9. All right, before I take and make all these changes to my drilling at the bottom, I'm going to go ahead and verify it. But if I draw it right now, and I hit play, there they are. But then the drilled holes aren't going to line up. And as long as I know that, I'm fine. But maybe I don't even want to see it that way. Okay, maybe I don't want to see it that way even. I don't want to see those holes messed up like that. So I want to know who can tell me a code that I could put right here to make this program stop and not keep going. Put an M0. But an M0, actually, I take that back. If you do an M0, it won't do it. But you're right, that is program stop. I should have worded that. But the M0 is going to let it keep going because M0s technically are still, the program's still running. How about a program end? What's program end?
G3.
M2. So I'm going to throw an M2 in there temporarily. It's a temporary throw in. Okay, and sometimes I get people that forget that they threw an M2 in there or an M30 so that they can just watch certain segments of the program run. And they forget to take them back out, and then they're like, everything's there and it's not doing it. I don't know why. And I've hundreds of times probably in the last 10 years since I've been here teaching this class, I've had to be like, oh, you still got your M30 there. Okay, you still got your M2 there. Let's delete that, and then all of a sudden, oh, there it is. Okay, so there is my spot drilled holes in all 9 locations. Did everybody spot drill okay? Yep. 6. All right, let's see where you got an X where you should have a Y or vice versa. You got a X minus 1, X0. That's supposed to be a Y0 right there. Y minus 1. Yeah, that should be a Y minus 1.
I used to do that all the time.
So this is where you can get yourself in trouble by just doing one value or the other. Because let's say if I put a Y here instead of an X, okay? I put a Y here instead of an X, and then I hit go. What just happened? Well, it spot drilled, and then instead of going to X0, it went back up to Y0, and then came across. So you gotta be careful when you just do one value, it can throw you off. That's what we had there. So I have to go through and check that out. Now, is everybody spot drilling okay? Okay. All right. Here's what I'd like you to do. First off, let's take our M2 out. Or the M30. If you put an M30, that's fine too. M2 or M30, either one can be put in there to just say, hey, stop right here. Don't go any further for now. Let's go down here. Let's change our hole 1 position here to X0, Y0. Okay. we're just coming down to the drilling part of the program, and in our G90 line, we're going to X0, Y0.
Do you need to put the dots on there?
Yes. Okay. Yep.
Are you going to copy paste?
In just a second, I am. Yeah, just hold on. Just hold on. We're gonna finish it out. All right. Then, what I'd like you to do is come down here underneath your can cycle where you drill them, and let's delete these locations. Just select those and hit the delete key. Okay. And go back up here to the top where we just created all these and put your cursor in front of your new hole 2 location. Hold shift. Go all the way down to hole 9. Copy those and go down and paste those in. Yep.
Was it Control V to do it or no?
Control V is paste.
How do I do?
What's that?
How do I get it back?
Control Z is undo.
What's a copy?
Put your cursor in front of it. Control C. Just go down to where you want to put it in at. Right there into that. Control V. All right, let's draw it. You might have to refresh the drawing, but go over to the screen and you might have to hit play a couple times. Make sure it drills. So just like that, we can take a simple drill program, and I could have any bolt pattern or any pattern I want here, and modify my locations to get the right results.
I was fixing this. Can you go? Where's?
Okay, delete those 2 holes down here. Okay, go up there. Put your cursor in front of hole 2's location, the Y1 there. Hold shift. You're gonna have better results doing the shift thing. I know you
Okay.
know that you can do it another way, but put your cursor there, hold shift, and then click after H9.
Oh, there we go.
Yep, right there. Click there. So put your cursor in front of the Y.
Oh, just like that.
Oh yeah. Hold shift. Click after that. Control C, copy. Paste it right there. Okay. Yours drilling okay? All right. Okay. Yeah. Did spot drill all the holes?
Wow. 2 days. I guess.
All right. So there's a lot of stuff in this graphics window, but I keep, everybody's worried about my screen doesn't look just like yours, and I just want to show you, okay, these settings. You can mess with the ambience, you can mess with what shows up on your screen as far as movement goes. Okay, you can turn things on and off. All kinds of stuff, okay? Once you go to the Program Manager, go to Program Manager and save this. And then open up your folder down by the Windows Start button. Okay. Go to the Thaw Space folder. And go to your folder. Something wrong?
Windows? Like,
Down by the Windows button down in the left corner, there's a folder.
And then Fox.
Yep, File Explorer.
Oh.
And go to your thaw space folder, and then you should see that you now have a lesson 4 and a lesson 5 in there, right? And in lesson 5, you got your part file that we just saved, and you have the NC file that just saved with it that has all the tools, the part setup, the work offsets, and all that stuff for you. Okay. All right. I want you all to do this with me, and then I'm going to let you go through and fix it all. Your assignment for next class. Right now, I want you to hit Save As. Save As, Lesson 5, Part 3. So, in your Save As, you're going to change the part number to 3, and it's going in the exact same folder, the Lesson 5 CNC Mill folder. You're going to hit Save. And now, your assignment is what we just did to Lesson 5, Part 2. I want you to do the same thing to Lesson 5, Part 3. You're going to change the information at the top as needed. You're going to change the locations. Okay? I'm going to check this at the start of class on Tuesday. Okay, you got the rest of the time to work on it. So plot the points first. Let me just back everybody up before you get too antsy. Plot the points first. When you program, you should go through and plot your points before you do anything else. Whether it's a contour, a drilled hole, a pocket, whatever it is, you should plot the points of the part on your print before you even think about starting the program. Okay? All right. So I'll check that at the start of class next time. And we will open